Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
Vincent Price as Simon Templar the Saint. As this episode of The Adventures of the Saint broadcast 71 years ago, March 4th, 1951. What got hot? Yeah. Thank you for tuning in with us here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on this Friday, 4th day of March, 63rd day of the year, 302 days remaining till we get to the end of the year. This was Inauguration Day up until 1933. Communication got better, so beginning in 1937, Inauguration Day was January 20th. Explorer Christopher Columbus arrived back in Lisbon, Portugal aboard his ship the Nina from his discovery voyage to America. He returned to Spain on March 15th. Charles II of England granted a land charter to William Penn in 1681 for the area that would later become Pennsylvania. Continental Congress voted on this date in 1778 to ratify treaties with France, the two treaties the first entered into by the U.S. government in 1778. In 1789, the first Congress met in New York City and declared the Constitution in effect. Happy birthday, Vermont. You were admitted as state number 14 on this date in 1791. In 1794, the 11th Amendment to the Constitution passed by Congress, dealing with each state's sovereign immunity in regard to federal lawsuits. And John Adams sworn in as president on this date in 1797, the first peaceful transfer of power between elected leaders in modern times. The Americans defeated the British at the Battle of Long Woods between London and Thamesville near present-day Wardsville, Ontario. Chicago became incorporated as a city on this date in 1837, and in 1902 the American Automobile Association established. Jeanette Rankin of Montana became the first female member of Congress on this date in 1917. She was in the House. Calvin Coolidge became the first president to have his inauguration broadcast on radio in 1925. In 1929, Charles Curtis became the first Native American vice president. In 1933, during his first inauguration, Franklin Delano Roosevelt's address featured a phrase designed to bring the nation out of malaise and depression.
Let me assert my firm belief that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself, nameless, unreasoning, unjustified terror, which paralyzes needed effort to convert retreat into advance.
President Roosevelt's first inauguration will be the last, held on March 14th. The first female member of the cabinet, also appointed on this date in 1933, as Frances Perkins became Secretary of Labor. In a quiet, simple ceremony on this date in 1952, two Hollywood actors were married, and they would stay together until his death in 2004. They appeared together in only one motion picture. Here's a scene. Can you guess who they are?
You knew I was fresh out of a bad marriage when we met. I wanted to be sure this time, so we played it safe. Until I knew that you were Mr. Right. Then you gave me that line about wartime marriages.
I wanted a wife and kids, not a widow and orphans.
Sure. And I began to think maybe you were playing the South Sea Circuit.
You knew better.
The movie, the 1957 World War II submarine movie Hellcats of the Navy. The woman who's billed is Nancy Davis. And the man? Future Governor of California, 40th President of the United States, Ronald Reagan. Ronnie and Nancy married on this date in 1952. President Reagan's death in 2004 ended what Charlton Heston called the greatest love affair in the history of the presidency. In 1962, Atomic Energy Commission announced the first atomic power plant at McMurdo Station in Antarctica was in operation. In 1964, Teamsters Union President Jimmy Hoffa convicted in Chattanooga, Tennessee, of attempted bribery of a grand jury and was sentenced to 8 years. After his sentence was handed down, Hoffa fiercely proclaimed his innocence to reporters.
I have been sentenced. I will appeal. I am not guilty. And I say to the millions of members of organized labor, have heed, because those who fight for you and fight to win will find that out of this conviction, the zeal of Attorney General Robert Kennedy will be to destroy you unless you give in.
President Nixon would commute Hoffa's sentence in 1971, but terms of the pardon forced him to stay out of union activities until 1980. Hoffa disappeared in late July of 1975, hasn't been seen or heard from since. He is presumed dead at the age of 62. In 1985, the Food and Drug Administration approved a blood test for AIDS. It's been used ever since then for screening all blood donations in the U.S. In a nationally televised address on this date in 1987, President Reagan expressed regret over the Iran-Contra affair.
A few months ago, I told the American people I did not trade arms for hostages. My heart and my best intentions still tell me that's true, but the facts and the evidence tell me it is not.
In that speech, President Reagan took full responsibility for the actions of those involved. In 1997, President Clinton banned federally funded human cloning research, and in 1998, the Supreme Court ruled federal laws banning on-the-job sexual harassment also apply when both parties are the same sex. In 2005, Martha Stewart was released after 5 months in prison for insider trading. The homemaker guru spoke to reporters following her release.
My favorite thing is lemons. And people make jokes about making lemons into lemonade, but I actually really like lemons. And these are my first lemons in 5 months, and I'm really looking forward to having some hot lemonade when I get back in the house.
Stewart served an additional 5 months of home confinement and probation after that. Passing away on this date in history, the pioneer of the Chisholm Trail, Jesse Chisholm, comedian John Candy, comedian Minnie Pearl, howdy, and the Village People's Glenn Hughes passing away on this date in history, along with politicians Harold Stassen and Thomas Eagleton. This is the birthday to composer Antonio Vivaldi, football player and coach Knute Rockne. Let's get out there and give him one for the Gipper. Actress Pearl White, Three Stooges Shemp Howard, bridge player writer Charles Gorin, French musician Paul Mauriat, Love is Blue, big top 10 hit way back when. Journalist, TV host Wally Bruner, singer, actress Barbara McNair, also singer Bobby Womack, and the singer-actress daughter of Whitney Houston and Bobby Brown, Bobby Christina Brown, who passed away in 2005 at just the age of 22 of pneumonia. You remember her from the TV show He and She. Paula Prentice is 84. Mrs. Bill Gaither, Gloria Gaither, 80 years old today. Chris Ray, Fool If You Think It's Over, 71 years old today. From SCTV and Beetlejuice, Catherine O'Hara, 68. Johnny Nagarelli in the original Grease movie, Adrian Zemed, is 68. From Everybody Loves Raymond, Patricia Heaton is 64. And from Desperate Housewives, Andrea Bowen is 32. Those just a few of the people who celebrate the 4th day of March as their birthday. And if this happens to be your birthday...
Hi, we're the 4 freshmen, and we just want to say... Happy birthday to you!
From 71 years ago, March 4th, 1951, The Saint, starring Vincent Price, on this Friday, Classic Radio Theater on your favorite station.
Are you in bad pain? You know what I mean. Your knees hurt, your shoulder hurts, your elbow and back are constantly killing you. And I'm sure you've tried every pain pill or cream available at the drugstore. Am I right? Well, here's something you haven't tried. Pain Magic. Pain Magic is not available at any drugstore. The only place you can get it is by calling the special toll-free number I'm about to give you.
And to make things even better, call right now and find out about our buy one, get one free offer. We're so confident it'll work for you that we offer a free bottle with your purchase. No prescription required.
Call now to learn how you can get pain magic and get rid of your pain. Remember, your results may vary.
800-492-8164. 800-492-8164. 800-492-8164. That's 800-492-8164.
This is an urgent news alert from the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews. The war in Ukraine is a humanitarian crisis Europe has not seen since World War II. Yael Eckstein, President and CEO of the Fellowship.
The Fellowship is providing food to the hungry, clothing to the naked, medicine for those who need it. Pray with us because these are lives that are at stake.
Learn more about the work of the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews in Ukraine at ifcj.org/crisis.
Vincent Price was best known on radio as the Saint, although when the show was first rolled out in 1945, Edgar Barrier starred in a show that only ran from January until the end of March of 1945. And then the show re-rolled out as a summer replacement for the Jack Carson show on CBS, and Brian Ahern starring in that episode that only ran during the summer session of 1945. Show came back in 1947 through 48, Vincent Price starring in that one, and then the show came back in 1949 on Mutual to 1950, again with Vincent Price, and then the final run from 1950 until the end of 1951. Vincent Price, the Saint, in an episode from March 4th, 1951.
The Adventures of the Saint, starring Vincent Price. The Saint, based on characters created by Leslie Charteris and known to millions from books, magazines, and motion pictures. The Robin Hood of modern crime now comes transcribed to radio, starring Hollywood's brilliant and talented actor Vincent Price as the Saint.
Hey, Mr. Templar.
Yes, Louis?
You look tired.
I am a bit.
Been working or something?
Or something. That is, I've been playing chess.
Uh-huh. So wipe the lipstick off your mouth.
The lipstick? Thanks, Louis.
You're welcome. On a chess player, it don't look good.
It was a very close game.
That I can figure out for myself. Hey, look, somebody's moving out of your house, you see? There's a moving van parked in front.
Yeah, so there is.
I better stop here. They're still lugging furniture out.
I hope it's the people who have the apartment over mine.
Why, what's the matter with them?
Large feet.
Uh-huh.
Hey, that's odd.
What?
That desk they just put in the van, it looked familiar.
All furniture nowadays looks familiar. Oh, they're all finished. I'll pull up.
Don't bother, Louis. How much do I owe you?
A buck. Hey, Mr. Temple, what's the matter?
I'm beginning to realize why it looked so familiar.
Why?
Because it was my desk.
Oh, look, Mr. Temple, you must have made a mistake. You're not moving.
I didn't make a mistake.
Yeah, but it's ridiculous. Mr. Templar?
Yes, it was my desk. Not to mention my table, my chairs, my... Hey, Louis, did you get the license number of that truck?
No. But it belonged to the North America Van Lines.
How do you know?
Said so on the side.
Oh, well, I'll look it up in the phone book.
Yeah. Room looks awful naked. You know, furniture does a lot to fill up a room.
Yeah, I've got it here. North American, 45 Columbus. Phone number?
Well, anyway, we know one thing about where your furniture has gone.
We do?
Yeah. North America.
Oh, fine. That's a big help.
North American, good evening.
Good evening. My name is Simon Templar. I have a complaint.
Then you want the manager.
I do?
You do. His name is George H. Smith.
Smith? Oh, very well. Well, let me talk to him.
He's not in. Sorry.
Well, you might be able to help me. You see, my complaint has to do with my furniture. It's just been moved by you people.
Didn't we move it far enough?
You shouldn't have moved it at all.
We're so enthusiastic.
I think you'd better check your records. Find out who ordered the van and where the furniture is to be delivered.
Very well, sir. Just hold on.
Having trouble, Mr. Templar?
No, Louis, just whimsy.
From truck drivers? We'll sue them.
Who will?
Us cabbies in New York. The whimsy belongs to us. And furthermore,
Mr. Templar?
Yes,
You ordered your furniture moved.
I did?
Paid for it in advance. Turned the key over to our men and asked for rapid service.
Well, I certainly got it. And where did I order the furniture moved to?
The Sprague Furniture Galleries.
Sprague? But he handles antiques. My furniture's modern.
Maybe it's aged rapidly.
Good night.
Good night, sir.
Come on, Louis. We're going to a gallery.
we're in a hurry?
Yes, you might say we've got to get a move on. Louis, I'm puzzled.
I'm ahead of you.
My furniture couldn't have been stolen for the money it would bring. It wasn't that valuable. Too great a risk was involved.
So somebody did it for fun?
Oh, hardly. Why was it stolen tonight, not last week, last month, or last year?
Maybe the guys that swiped it were too busy.
Also, half a dozen pieces were taken. Among them, a particularly worthless whatnot.
What?
Whatnot.
And who's on third?
Our whatnot, Louis, is a Victorian monstrosity which shouldn't happen to a tree. The point I'm making, though, is that I've had that whatnot only a few days.
Uh-huh. Well, that means they were after the whatnot. So why did they swipe the other stuff?
To confuse the issue. To make me think it was just an ordinary burglary. To keep my attention away from the whatnot.
Maybe it's worth a lot of money, huh?
It's worth exactly what I paid for it, $17.
So that don't figure. Where'd you get it, anyway?
Oddly enough, Louis, at the Sprague Gallery.
Oh, that gallery don't look open.
Come on. Sprague sleeps in the back. He has a small apartment there. There's no truck around, Louis.
Must have already unloaded.
Yeah.
Mr. Sprague ought to wash his windows.
Yeah, I can't see a thing inside. Must be a bell around, however. Oh, yeah, look, here's one.
Sounds like an antique bell.
Antique or not, it should have waked Mr. Sprague.
So maybe somebody should ought to tell him on account of it ain't wake him.
No.
Hey.
Yeah, door was open. We may have forgotten to lock it. Hey, light a match, Louis.
Okay.
Oh, thanks.
Oh. Well, now we got light, but... Hey, there's your furniture.
Yeah, so it is. Desk, table, couch, and
the whatnot.
Yeah. Truckman evidently delivered the stuff and left. But, where's Sprague?
Maybe in that back room, huh?
Yeah, well, we'll see.
Oh, the lights are on in here. Kind of a cluttered place for a guy to live in.
Yeah, not only cluttered, Louis. It looks as though a hurricane had made more than a passing visit.
Yeah, I should... The temple. What are you staring at?
Back here, behind the bed.
Huh? Somebody besides the hurricane also visited?
Knife is still in his chest.
He ain't noticing it?
He's dead.
Oh. Hey, there's a car.
Seems to be in the back. Gone.
So I hope is the killer.
Come on back in. We frightened him off, Louis.
Speak for yourself. I don't frighten babies.
But he was still here. Why? Evidently he hadn't finished his job. But what job, Louis?
Well, you said the place looked upset. Maybe he was searching it.
Yeah, that's true, but searching for what? The furniture was delivered, the truckman left. The odds are that by the time Sprague was already dead.
Yeah.
Very well, then, what could the killer have been looking for? The whatnot was here whenever he wanted it for. Louis.
I didn't do it.
You know that whatnot must have had a history. Sprague probably has records showing where he purchased his furniture.
Uh-huh. So the killer hung around trying to cover the back trail of the whatnot, huh? After all, he didn't expect us to notice the truck leaving your house with your furniture. We ain't supposed to have been here so quick. Is that good?
Only if we find what the killer didn't find.
For me, I give up. What do we do now?
We do just what the killer did before we interrupted him, Louis. Search for Mr. Sprague's ledgers.
We go through them, huh?
Yeah. And maybe they'll tell us why a man had to die for a whatnot. It's not in this one.
Yeah. Hey, Mr. Templar, I think I got it.
Oh, let me see.
Here.
Victorian whatnot, yeah. Mrs. Susan Carter, Hill Road, Cresdale, New York.
Cresdale? That's only half a dozen miles north of the Bronx.
This is strange. He doesn't seem to have paid her anything at all for the whatnot.
Maybe she paid him.
And we could phone, but... You know, Louis, about the only thing on our side is the element of time. We're moving faster than the killer anticipated, therefore...
I know. We go north. You know something, Mr. Templar? The trouble with the country is it's so far from the city.
I never thought of that.
Well, think about it. It's true.
I'd rather think about Mrs. Susan Carter.
Sprague got that whatnot from her about a week ago.
Yeah, and I bought it from him 3 days ago. But, will she be able to help us?
Why not? It was her whatnot.
Sure, but if she knew anything about it, anything that would make it worth murdering someone for, she'd never have passed it on to Sprague in the first place. We may be chasing a wild goose, Louis.
Who needs a wild goose?
A wild gander. Slow down, Louis. I think it's that house on the corner.
Okay.
Yeah, this is it. Ooh, it's a large house.
Yeah. It looks like there ought to be bats flying around it.
It's not so bad. It's not a house most people would prefer to live in.
Make a wonderful place to die in. Ooh, what am I saying? I have to frighten myself yet?
Lights on somewhere inside. They must keep late hours. Let's go.
Yeah. Some fun they have in these country houses.
Yeah, I think it's time we rang.
You know, I'm wondering what she didn't. Hey, look, the light just went out inside. I got a feeling nobody is going to open that door. All right. So I was wrong. But who opened it?
Doesn't matter. We can get in.
Okay. Except I would be happier if somebody at least had opened it.
It's like a house of the dead.
Stop making up phrases like that.
They came from someplace down this hallway.
You're running in the wrong direction. We're running close.
Look, it must be this door. It's the only one along the hallway.
Does it open?
Yeah, it opens.
Who are you?
A reasonable question. March 4th, 1951. The Saint on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. The news from 71 years ago is next.
Are you suffering with arthritis or osteoporosis? Do you have diabetes? Did you know that these are just two of the hundreds of diseases that have seen improvement with Dr. Wallach's incredible longevity products? You can't get them at a health food store. The only way to get them is to call us at 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065. Do you have heart disease, fibromyalgia, or high blood pressure? Do you have a terrible time losing weight? Dr. Wallach can help. He was a veterinarian and cured diseases in animals. He felt that he could do the same for humans, so he became a physician. Over 50 years of research and helping people like you goes into every bottle of Dr. Wallach's amazing discoveries. Do you want to feel better? Learn how to treat the cause of your problem rather than covering up the symptoms with drugs. Call 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065.
The MyPillow.com clearance continues. Roll and go anywhere. MyPillow's $9.99. The Body Pillow $39.99. And MyPillow bath sheets on sale 50% off. Use my promo code USA. Go to MyPillow.com/radio specials. You'll also get a free copy of Mike Lindell's book. MyPillow.com/radio specials. Use promo code USA or 1-800-951-8175. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Thank you for tuning in on this Friday. And we are listening to an episode of The Saint, starring Vincent Price as Simon Templar, from Sunday, March 4th, 1951. In the newspapers of that Sunday 71 years ago, these were some of the headlines. The U.S. 7th Division wiped out the last of North Korea's 15th Division in a bayonet and artillery attack yesterday and sent an armored power patrol into the heart of the enemy's main buildup area to the north. The patrol of tanks and foot soldiers raced to within 3 miles of Cheongdong, 27 miles below the 38th parallel, mounting the resistance point around which the routed North Koreans on the East Central Front had hoped to rebuild their forces. The bitter Treasury Federal Reserve Board fight over low interest rates on government bonds resolved yesterday when the Treasury agreed to a slightly higher rate on a new securities issue. Secretary of the Treasury John W. Snyder announced he will offer soon a new series of long-term non-marketable bonds at 2 3/4% interest in exchange for an outstanding issue which bears a 2.5% rate. Russia broke off private talks with the U.S. about a Japanese peace treaty yesterday. This appeared to be a move to force the question onto the agenda of a Big Four conference. Soviet Deputy Foreign Minister Jacob A. Malik made the Russian position known in a statement asserting he would not confer further with Ambassador John Foster Dulles about the proposed treaty. The two have had several meetings for that purpose, and Dulles said in Washington February 28th he expected them to continue. He said last night he had no comment to make on Malik's statement. Senator Kern, the Republican of Missouri, called the Reconstruction Finance Corporation corrupt and demanded that Congress abolish it. He declared President Truman is unwilling to clean up the agency. The Missouri lawmaker said in a statement the RFC has survived its usefulness and should be put out of business, lock, stock, and barrel. And Antonio Baudet was an avid newspaper reader. But Peter Carroll, a Montreal restaurant proprietor, had Baudet arrested. Seems Antonio stole a nickel newspaper from the restaurant. And that wasn't all. Baudet had been stealing the newspaper from the restaurant every morning since 1944. And those some of the day's top news stories as reported in the newspapers of Sunday, March 4th, 1951, on your radio, The Saint, which continues now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
Oh, hello, I'm Simon Templar. This is Louis.
Yeah? What do you want?
We heard you scream.
That's because I saw a mouse.
It must have been a large mouse. It was a large scream, Mrs. Carter.
I'm not Mrs. Carter.
But,
Claire Wayne, Mrs. Carter's niece.
Oh, I apologize.
How'd you get in?
Well, the front door opened by itself, a very mysterious effect.
You're making things up.
Not really. Could we see Mrs. Carter?
Could you... Oh, no.
Miss Wayne. Come on, Louis.
Yeah, I'm right behind you.
Claire! Where the devil? Claire! Oh, I'm sorry. Neither of us is Claire. Are you Mr. Carter?
Carter? Me? No, I'm Harold Thompson, Susan's nephew.
Oh, I'm Simon Templar, Louis.
Templar, huh? Are you the Saint?
Yes, I am.
Well, this is quite an honor for us.
Thank you. Actually, I wanted to speak to your ad.
You did?
I said something amusing?
You've no idea how amusing. I'll laugh about it all night.
Hey. Well, he's gone, too.
Very restless type characters. Well, anyway, we're getting acquainted fast.
Except with Mrs. Carter. Large house. We'll have to look through all the rooms in it.
You'll have to look even farther than that, sir.
I didn't hear you come into the room. You walked softly.
It's a habit of mine. The ill and the dying resent a heavy footstep. It frightens them.
Really?
Delusion of reference. I suspect they associate it with death coming for them.
You're a doctor?
Yes, I'm Dr. Thorne.
My name's Templar, and this is Louis.
Good evening, gentlemen. How do you do?
You're Mrs. Carter's physician?
Yes.
She's ill, then?
No. She's not at all ill.
Well, then I'd like to speak to her at once.
About
a whatnot that she gave to an antique dealer named Sprague.
Seems a trivial reason to have brought you out here at this hour.
The whatnot in itself is perhaps a trivial thing, Doctor, but murder isn't.
Murder?
Mr. Sprague.
Oh. At what time was he...
Probably around 8 this evening.
It's interesting. At 8, I was out in my car on my way here, but I took a long way around. Might have included the stop in the city. At 8, Harold Thompson had not as yet reached this house. Of course, where he was until then, I cannot say. At 8, Claire Wayne was at the movie. She told me earlier. Well, perhaps she was. Well, very interesting hour.
Yes, and where was Mrs. Carter at 8 o'clock?
Well, she was where she is now, with a nurse in attendance.
I thought you said she wasn't ill.
She isn't. She was.
Oh, I see. She's dead, then.
She's dead.
Interesting. 3 people might have known what the mystery of the whatnot was, and of them 2 are dead. The third is a murderer.
Susan Carter was an old woman with a weak heart.
Meaning her death was natural?
Yes.
I don't sneer at coincidence, Dr. Thorne, but under the circumstances, I'd like to be sure it was coincidence.
Well, of course, I can't quarrel with you about that. I've had a thought or two about Susan's death myself. And? She wasn't stabbed to death. Her heart did fail. Mr. Templar, I'm not a young man anymore. I'm tired. I'm all confused. And before going any further into this thing, I'd like to rest. Would it be asking too much of you to spend the night here, Mr. Templar?
I think it's very hospitable of you.
Plenty of room. This is a large house. Suppose we all go to bed. In the morning, perhaps the shadows will all aflame.
We'll just have to see. March 4th, 1951, The Saint on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
No offense, but are you a little fat when you look in the mirror? How would you like to learn the secrets to lose 3 to 5 pounds a week easily without joining the gym or going through any crazy diets? It's called Body Sculpt by Med Diet. For the last 2 decades, we've been helping people just like you that have pounds they want to shed. We've helped millions of people lose thousands and thousands of pounds over the years. And now it's your turn. Learn the secrets of how to lose weight with one simple phone call. You'll see an amazing difference in a matter of days. Don't believe us? We'll offer you a money-back guarantee. If you're ready to start losing weight right now, call right now to learn more about your risk-free order to Body Sculpt.
Call for your risk-free offer. 800-738-5332. 800-738-5332. 800-738-5332. That's 800-738-5332.
Here's some great news. If you missed the deadline to sign up for health insurance, or if you just have a plan you're not happy with, you still have a choice. It's called MediShare. There are hundreds of thousands of members, and they love it. MediShare has a 98% customer satisfaction rating, and this is obviously huge. The typical family saves around $6,000 a year switching to MediShare. Find out more. They're great to talk to. 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE.
On Saturday's Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, a historical drama, Edward Arnold, in a dramatization of a president of the United States. Mr. President, it really did happen 72 years ago, March 5th, 1950. It's entitled Quid Pro Quo, Times Difficult for the New President, as he tries to work out his appointments. That's coming up on Saturday's Classic Radio Theater, but now the conclusion of The Saint, starring Vincent Price, March 4th, 1951, 71 years ago today.
Well, I think you'll be comfortable in this room. I know the house quite well, you see. I played in it as a child. There was a time when I thought that perhaps Susan and I would live in it together, but I married someone else. Good night.
Good night, Doctor.
Yeah, good night. It's kind of broken up about Mrs. Carter's death, huh?
Yes, he is.
Could be an act.
It seemed genuine. You know, Louis, nobody in this house has an alibi for Sprague's death.
Yeah, Mr. Templar, let's go to sleep, huh? In the morning, I'll feel strong enough to be surprised, but right now...
All right, we'll go to sleep.
What could happen anyway?
Louis.
Oh, Mr. Temple, what?
I smell smoke.
The house is on fire.
Hey, come on, Louis.
Yeah, I'm right with you. Smoke is terrible.
Hey, look, we've got to warn the others.
Yeah. I'll get the ones the other side of the hall. The smoke is getting awful thick.
Miss Wayne. Miss Wayne.
I was asleep.
Go downstairs and out of the house, quick. The house happens to be on fire.
All right.
Hey, Louis.
Templar. Oh, I got both Dr. Thorne and Harold Thompson. They're on their way down. We better get downstairs, too.
No, not yet.
But we got every living thing out of the house.
Yeah, but you forgot the dead.
Dr. Thorne, the other men, what happened to them?
Be still, my dear. We're safely out.
They must have ducked down the back way. No, here they come now.
carrying something.
Not something, Harold. They're carrying a corpse.
No.
We're far enough away from the house, Louis. We can put her down now.
Okay, Mr. Templar.
But it's crazy. She's dead, don't you understand? She's dead.
Yes, I know, Miss Wayne, but I understand something else, too. That fire wasn't for our benefit. It was for her. Louis, the lower half of the house hasn't been touched yet. I'm going back in to phone the fire department.
Maybe I better go with you.
No. You're to stay here to make sure that no one harms her.
Miss Wayne?
No, Louis. Mrs. Carter.
Thank you, Collison. You and the boys did a fine job.
Glad we were able to save the lower part of the house. Okay, boys, back to the pinochle game.
You know that Crestdale Fire Department ain't bad?
No, we may as well all go inside. I'll take Mrs. Carter.
I can't say I exactly follow your mental processes, Templar.
Is that important?
I don't know.
Why did you have to disturb her?
Mrs. Carter, she's far beyond any disturbances I could create.
What Claire meant was, why lug her around the way you are?
There's a very simple answer. You see, she's a very important clue.
To what?
Murder.
Shut the door off, Mr. Templar.
Oh, thanks, Louis. Well, this room will do as well as any. The couch for Mrs. Carter.
Mr. Templar, I think I shall insist upon an explanation. We're all here.
But we're not all here.
What? Oh, Harold.
Yes.
He was with us when we arrived at the front door, but then...
Yeah, he must have decided that other climbs would be healthier climbs for him at any rate.
You're not saying Harold killed...
I'm saying nothing about that at the moment. Dr. Thorne, does Claire resemble Mrs. Carter, as Mrs. Carter was when she was a girl, of course?
You're a cute Templar. The answer, of course, is yes. It's an amazing resemblance.
Yes, it would have to be.
I'm not sure. Why amazing? We were very closely related.
That's not the point.
Then what is?
Someone burgled my apartment, stole a number of pieces of furniture. Among those pieces was a worthless whatnot. Since it was taken along with the others were merely camouflaged. The burglar was primarily after the whatnot.
Well, what connection is there between furniture and
death? That whatnot, Dr. Thorne, until a week ago belonged to Mrs. Carter.
Oh?
A Mrs. Carter who may have died naturally or who may have been killed.
I told you her heart failed. Almost anything might have brought it on.
Yes, Doctor, almost anything. Perhaps a tiny dose of poison, so tiny that it wouldn't of itself be fatal. So tiny that it would produce no symptoms of poisoning, but it would strain an already weak heart, wouldn't it?
Well, yes, it's possible.
More than possible. It has to be so. Otherwise, why the fire in the upper part of the house? A fire, therefore, that couldn't have been accidental. No cooking or heating is done up there.
Well, maybe somebody was after...
The living, Louis? No. No doors were locked. None of us were drugged. The house itself is easier to escape from. The fire had only one purpose, to destroy the body of Mrs. Carter, to destroy the possibility of an autopsy on that body.
I'm tired. Oh, tired. I better go home.
Not quite yet, Doctor. Mrs. Carter was wealthy?
Well, no one knows, you see. She never kept money in the bank. There's always, of course, been a theory that she hid all the money somewhere in this house.
She's mean and nasty. I don't mind telling you that Harold and I searched all through the house looking for that money.
Did you find it?
No.
Do you need money, Doctor?
His wife spends more than he earns. Of course he does. I do. Harold does. There wasn't any money.
Was Mrs. Carter a sentimental woman, Doctor?
No, she was a bitter woman. She hated. Well.
Yes, and she was very ill. She knew she was surrounded by...
Yes, vultures waiting for her to die so they could pick up her old bones or whatever money clung to them.
Your way of putting it.
Well, it's an accurate way. And now that you know, Mr. Templar, may I go home?
Yes. Yes, after you answer one question.
That question being?
Somewhat earlier this evening, when I asked you about the possibility of Mrs. Carter's death having been murdered, you denied that possibility.
I still... Or perhaps I do no longer deny it. However,
That's not my question. At that time, you said she wasn't stabbed to death, meaning that Mr. Sprague, of whose murder I had just informed you, was stabbed to death. But, Dr. Thorne, there are many ways in which a man can be killed.
Your question, then, is, How did I know that Sprague had been killed with a knife?
Yes, Doctor.
I don't think I shall answer that question.
I'm sorry. Louis, will you get on the phone?
The cops?
The police.
Okay.
Sit down, Dr. Thorne.
You won't need me anymore.
No, Miss Wayne.
And I'll go. Any other room. This one's ugly.
What's the matter?
Just caught my stockings in the edge of the chair.
Oh, that's too bad. They're pretty stockings.
They should be. They're nylon. It cost a fortune. Good night, Mr. Templar.
Good night.
Oh, I phoned the cops. They're on their way, Mr. Templar.
Yeah, oh, good, Louis.
Hey, Dr. Thorne, you don't look so good.
No.
You know, if murderers would clap master padlocks on their lips, a lot of them would be better off. They wouldn't give themselves away. And detectives would have a harder time.
No, Louis. No matter how securely a murderer's lips may be locked, I coin a phrase, murder will out.
Yeah, but if Dr. Thorne hadn't made that slip about the stabbing, you'd never been able to pin the killing on him.
That's true. But then you see, Dr. Thorne didn't kill anyone.
Templar, cops are going to be here pretty soon. For the last 10 minutes, nobody has said nothing.
No, but Dr. Thorne has undoubtedly been thinking.
If he didn't kill anybody, what has he got to think about?
About who did?
Mr. Templar.
Yes, Doctor?
You're quite sure?
Yes, I am.
There's no hope of...
None.
Well, it was a resemblance, of course. A resemblance to a woman that You'll permit an old and tired man and old and tired cliche? Of course. A woman that I had loved and lost.
I don't get it. Harold did it, didn't he?
Not unless he wears nylon stockings.
Nylon socks, maybe, but
I
stockings?
couldn't wait all by myself. Why are you staring at me like that, Doctor?
It's late?
But
Dr. Thorne means he followed you to Sprague's earlier tonight. He saw Sprague's body with the knife in it.
Well, of course he did. He had to kill him.
He also saw you leave when Louis and I got to the gallery. Leave before you could find the record of where the whatnot originally came from. Find it and destroy it, lest it lead to this house and you.
No.
Oh, yes. Right, Dr. Thorne? You see, Miss Wayne, even now the doctor won't give you away because you look so much like the woman he loved.
No, he did. And he killed my aunt.
No, a doctor wouldn't have used poison to kill his own patient. Too obvious. A breath of suspicion and he wouldn't have a chance.
Harold.
No. His disappearance half an hour ago proved his innocence.
To who?
Louis, where do you think he went?
Me, he didn't stop to tell.
He went to Sprague's to get at that whatnot. Because he realized that his aunt had hidden her money in it. Hadn't she, Miss Wayne?
I don't know.
You do. The police will find it, wherever you've hidden it.
The police aren't going to.
Come on, open up there!
And the police are, and that will be proof enough. It's a pity. And all because of a whatnot. Such an ugly thing.
So, all right. So the cops found the doll in the girl's suitcase downstairs in the hall closet. So she killed her aunt and Sprague. But something must have tipped you off before you could be so sure.
Nylon stockings, Louis.
Oh, we're back to those again. All right, what about nylon stockings?
Louis, whoever poisoned Mrs. Carter was the one who set fire to the house in order to destroy the corpse and prevent an autopsy.
Yeah?
Well, when I warned Claire Wayne about the fire, she said she'd been asleep.
Yeah?
Later on, after I'd confronted Dr. Thorne with what seemed to be his guilt, she left the room. On the way out, she caught her stockings on a chair.
So?
Louis, how much do you know about women?
Everything.
Do women go to sleep with nylon stockings on?
Oh, the answer is no.
Therefore, Claire Wayne had not been asleep. She'd lied about that with no reason.
Unless she had started the fire. Yeah. So she started the fire, so she poisoned her aunt, stabbed Sprague. Yeah, okay. Only one thing more.
What, Louis?
Remember when we got to the Carter house and rang the bell and then the door opened all by itself?
Yes, I remember.
Never mind remembering, explain.
Oh, probably only a warped door, Louis. The house was very old. Hey, I just thought of something.
Yeah, what, Mr. Templar?
When I get home, I'll be bedless.
Oh, gee, that's right. You ain't got no furniture. Want I should drop you off at a hotel?
No, thank you, Louis. Maybe I can find a good chess game.
another transcribed adventure of the Saint, the Robin Hood of modern crime. Now here's our star, Vincent Price.
Ladies and gentlemen, in tonight's cast, you heard Peggy Weber as Claire and Victor Rodman as Dr. Thorne. David Ellis was Harold, Gilbert Fry the dispatcher. Larry Dobkin plays Louis. This is Vincent Price inviting you to join us again next week at this same time for another exciting adventure of the Saint. Good night.
71 years ago, March 4th, 1951, The Saint on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Hope you'll take a moment to visit my webpage at classicradio.stream, where you can stream our shows on demand, learn more about classic radio collecting, and contact me. classicradio.stream. Don't forget that our shows are available anywhere podcasts are served, including iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spreaker, TuneIn, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon. Just search for Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Thank this radio station, support the advertisers, and tell your friends the great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station.